subscribe to Raze.
And welcome back, everybody. My name is Raze Chaos. You have made it back to my channel, and I am so happy to have you back. And today's video is going to be something that I mentioned not long ago, where Raze kind of mentioned, well, much like he mentioned on the Silent Bob video he did not long ago, where he had mentioned that he'd had plenty of Silent Bobs, but he didn't have a J-pop. Well, going along with that, Raze had realized that he had had so many, I mean, many Harley Quinn pops, but he really didn't have any Poison Ivy pops. I think the closest thing was a Funko comic cover that, I mean, it's awesome and everything, but it wasn't a Funko Pop of Poison Ivy. And yeah, so we needed to do something about that. So I went ahead and grabbed from GameStop the glow-in-the-dark Poison Ivy that is from the Poison Ivy, or I'm sorry, the Harley Quinn animated series on HBO Max, which is a very excellent portrayal of her. And yeah, I mean, there's it looks accurate enough. I really wouldn't have gone the glow-in-the-dark if it hadn't been for the fact that that was the only one available at the time. So I picked it up. Who cares? I did it. I'm not afraid. But let's put this guy away and talk about some Poison Ivy. So Poison Ivy came out in 1966. And she's had a couple different origin stories. One of which being that she was a PhD botanist that was going on a expedition to Egypt to help excavate some extremely rare berries, but the leader of the expedition essentially wanted to hog all the credit, so he fed her some of the old ancient Egyptian berries that were supposed to be poisonous. And instead of killing her, it essentially made her immune to poisons. And that's where she continued on. And like a lot of the female characters, female villains from the 1960s, part of her criminal escapades were somewhat of a ploy to get Batman's attention, because he was the man that everybody wanted. They altered it slightly later on, where they basically had her as a student under the teachings of Dr. Woodrue, who DC fans know is the Floronic Man, who was a villain of the Atom. And he essentially did experiments on her and turned her into what she became. The real origin of Poison Ivy actually traces back to the Batman TV series from 1966. Hence, her creation date in 1966. With the introduction of Batgirl, the Barbara Gordon Batgirl, to the comic book universe and to the Batman TV show, they wanted to spin her off. They did do a Batgirl pilot that didn't go anywhere, but the whole idea was to get more. I mean, you can't, in the 60s apparently you could not have a lot of man versus woman battles, so the fact that they had Batgirl couldn't fight like the Joker or the Penguin and that kind of stuff for some reason. So they decided to get some more female villains to do that, and Poison Ivy was the answer to that. Unfortunately, she was planned to debut in season 4, but yeah, the series ended in season 3. Despite the bringing Batgirl in and attempting to expand on the whole Bat family, the the truth of the matter was, one of the big problems that the Batman TV series had was, while it was a novelty for the first season, you know, the Batman series happened, ends in a cliffhanger, and then the second episode would play later in the week, and you'd see how Batman would get out of things. The problem is that people would go ahead and skip the first episode, because when they watched the second episode, they would essentially give you a recap, and then you get to see how Batman got out of that initial death trap, so to speak. And so people were only watching every other episode of the series, and that really kind of showed its head in season 2. People by that point had stopped watching the first episode, only watching the second episode, and that's why they tried to integrate a new character like Batgirl into the fold, which gave them a little bit of a bump, but the Batgirl was created for the show. She made her debut in the comics briefly right beforehand, but the creators were, you know, she was basically destined to be in the show, and DC, being a little bit smarter on the idea, decided to create their characters and put them into the comics before they adapted them to TV series, which that wasn't always the case with superheroes, and that reflected later on in time. But yeah, that was one of their ideas. And while she never had a chance to get into the TV series, Poison Ivy did make it into a movie. Unfortunately, it's one of the lesser liked Batman movies, and she had to share the screen with Mr. Freeze. Ooh, excuse me, Mr. Freeze. But I would say that the character of Poison Ivy has grown, and especially teaming her up with Harley, it was really a great match, and it really kind of thickened the lore around Batman and her own lore with the Joker as well. It really kind of built her into a much stronger character, and the interaction between the other characters basically forces a lot of world building, which nobody was really complaining about. She has turned to a bit of more of an anti-hero, as she's more of an eco-terrorist more than anything else. It's one of those things where it's just kind of like, depending on the writer wants to keep her the eco-terrorist or anything, or a different writer might want to just flat out make her a villain. I know that in the animated series they did a lot of her having strong vendetta against Harvey Dent, and it just the more you try and build, unless you're going to keep it that way, the more confusing it gets later on. But we're going to go ahead and take her out and have a look at her. I must say, I really do appreciate the fact that as much as I love the Harley Quinn series, the fact that they made the Poison Ivy available so quickly. I am very happy about that, because the only two alternatives that I saw was the Uma Thurman Poison Ivy, which I wasn't a fan of I wasn't a fan of the movie or the character design of that one. Or you could get the New 52 version, and if you know Raze, you know he hates the New 52 versions of a lot of the characters. So yeah, having a great Poison Ivy and everything. The only thing that this really changes, and this was changed by the Batman animated series, was turning her skin green. And that a lot to do had to do with a lot of the mutation that has turned her into mostly plant. And the theory is that instead of having a normal Caucasian hue to her body, it's green now because she doesn't have blood anymore. She has chlorophyll. I don't know if I really want to subscribe to that or not, but still, she works green or not. But it's a great pop, and I love the look of it. I love the pose. I love the leaves in the hair. Yeah, it's absolutely great. The is she wearing tights? Is she not? You can't tell because it's green either way. And yeah, you just can't help but enjoy this character. She's a character that's grown to be more enjoyable as she's gone on, instead of fading into obscurity like other Batman villains. And I'm really happy to have this one. I will test the glow to make sure that to see if I can't get a shot of that. But if you know Raze, you know he doesn't have the best experience trying to show off a glow. So if you saw it, you saw it. If you didn't, don't be surprised. But at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here now. I hope you've enjoyed this. Give me a like on this video if you've enjoyed watching it, and go ahead and check out one of my others. I've got like tons of other things. I've got the comic book covers if you want to see the Poison Ivy that is in the comic book cover that I had gotten. I show that one off. So if you are really into Poison Ivy, you want to see more of her, and you want to see it on Raze Chaos's channel, that would be where you would go. But I hope you have a great day, and never forget that life is full of odd moments, and you never know when you're going to be defined.
Yep.